Now a fan has filed a lawsuit in Atlanta against the NFL, claiming there was a concerted effort by all the teams not to draft Shedeur. In other words, collusion.
Ladies and gentlemen, pause whatever you're doing because the NFL just walked into a legal firestorm. One fan just sued the league for $100 million, all because of Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, you heard that right. This isn't just football anymore. This is war. It's not every day you wake up, check your phone, and find out that a regular fan, not a player, not a coach, not even a team owner, just hit the NFL with a $100 million 0-cents lawsuit over a fifth-round draft pick. But this isn't your average draft pick.
The drop of quarterback Shedeur Sanders, not only out of the first round, but all the way into the fifth round.
This is Shedeur Sanders, the most polarizing, dissected, and unfairly doubted quarterback prospect of this generation. A quarterback with Hall of Fame DNA, the swagger of a seasoned pro, and the resume to back it up, yet still, he fell. Past the first round, past the second, all the way to pick 144. And one fan, he had enough. He didn't throw a fit on Twitter. He didn't make a YouTube rant. He took the NFL to court. What's actually happening? Meet Eric Jackson, the fan behind the madness. A man from Georgia, labeled as John Doe in legal filings, who claims the NFL's treatment of Shedeur Sanders caused him severe emotional distress and trauma. Yes, emotional trauma from a draft slide. And guess what? He's not asking for an apology. He's asking for $100 million. 0 cents in damages. His claim? That the NFL colluded to tank Shedeur's stock, that front offices, scouts, and executives knew full well what Shedeur was worth, but deliberately orchestrated a fall for reasons far beyond football. We're talking racial bias, antitrust violations, consumer deception. The lawsuit cites the Sherman Antitrust Act, the Civil Rights Act, and even consumer protection laws, claiming fans were misled by a league that pretended to evaluate fairly while secretly punishing Shedeur for who he is, not how he plays. And that's when this stopped being a football story and became a full-blown legal and cultural reckoning. Let's be honest, Shedeur Sanders was never supposed to be a day 3 pick. This is a quarterback who threw for over 3,200 yards and 27 touchdowns in a broken Colorado system, behind the worst offensive line in Division I football. He got sacked more than any quarterback in the country and still put up elite numbers. His mechanics, NFL ready. His leadership, undeniable. His pedigree, untouchable. His father is Deion Sanders, one of the most iconic athletes in American sports history. And Shedeur has his fire, his vision, and yes, his haters. And that's what this lawsuit really speaks to. Because Shedeur didn't fall because he couldn't throw a deep ball. He fell because he wore Rolexes, talked with confidence, and refused to bow to the old-school NFL scouting machine. He threatened the status quo. And now, a fan has called the league's bluff. This isn't just a wild accusation, it's a message. According to the lawsuit, the NFL engaged in collusion cooperative. Teams allegedly agreed to tank Shedeur's stock so they could snag him cheap, especially knowing he'd generate millions in jersey sales, media buzz, and ticket sales. Civil rights violations. It argues Shedeur was targeted not for his skill, but for his race, background, and cultural expression. Essentially, the fan believes the NFL wanted to humble a young black quarterback who wouldn't play the part. Consumer fraud fan says the league duped its viewers into believing the draft is a fair, merit-based process, when in reality, it's a corporate theater. Think that sounds extreme? Think again. Because what happened to Shedeur Sanders is too clean to be coincidence. We watched as quarterback after quarterback, some with worse numbers, weaker tape, and questionable leadership, went off the board ahead of Shedeur. Guys like Spencer Rattler, taken. Michael Penix Jr., drafted in round 1, despite injury red flags. Bo Nix, reached for like he was the second coming of Joe Burrow. And then there was Shedeur, waiting, watching, slipping, 144th overall. To the Cleveland Browns, a team that didn't even need a quarterback until they saw Shedeur, still sitting there, gift-wrapped by the rest of the league. You could hear the disbelief. You could feel the disrespect. And according to this lawsuit, you can now calculate the damages. $100 million, 0 cents worth of consumer betrayal. Because Shedeur isn't just a player. He's a symbol. He represents a new era of athlete. One that's smart, brand savvy, vocal, and refuses to be grateful for table scraps. And to many fans, especially young black fans, Shedeur was the future. They believed in him. They bought his jersey. They followed his story. So when the league treated him like a problem, not a prospect, it didn't just feel like a scouting mistake, it felt personal. And now, this one fan has taken that personal pain and turned it into legal action. It's bold, it's bizarre, it's probably going to be thrown out of court, but it's also sending a message the NFL can't ignore. Of course, the sports media exploded. Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharpe, Stephen A. Smith, everyone had something to say. Some laughed it off, others defended the fans' right to be heard, but a growing segment of voices, especially online, are now saying maybe this isn't about whether the lawsuit wins. Maybe it's about whether the message lands. That message? Stop pretending you don't see the bias. Stop acting like the draft is clean when it's clearly political. And stop treating outspoken black quarterbacks as threats instead of leaders. Legally, this lawsuit doesn't stand much of a chance. Most legal analysts say it'll be dismissed. Why? The fan has no legal standing. He's not a player, coach, or stakeholder. The NFL is protected under the collective bargaining agreement and can't be sued by outsiders over draft decisions. Emotional distress from watching TV is not exactly winnable in court, but here's the catch. The impact of this lawsuit isn't in the verdict, it's in the conversation. Because now, every time someone mentions Shedeur Sanders, it won't just be about what he does in training camp or preseason. It'll be about the fight he represents, even if he never filed the case himself. And the most powerful part of all this, Shedeur Sanders didn't ask for this lawsuit. He didn't post about it. He didn't endorse it. He didn't need to. Because his game is already the loudest statement on the field. And if you watched his mini-camp reps, if you saw how he commanded the huddle, how he outshined veterans, how he turned heads with every throw, then you know Shedeur doesn't need a lawsuit to prove his worth. He's already proving it in cleats. But even so, this legal firestorm may have just cracked open the truth that the NFL, for all its money, power, and tradition, still isn't ready for quarterbacks who refuse to play by its old rules. You can laugh at it, you can ignore it, you can say it's just one crazy fan, but deep down, you know this wasn't about one man filing papers. This was a signal flare, a $100 million zero-cents explosion of frustration, truth, and challenge. And if you think this is the last time the NFL will be called out over how it treats players like Shedeur Sanders, think again, because the future is here. It's confident, it's controversial, and it's got the receipts. If you believe Shedeur Sanders was disrespected in this draft, hit that like button. If you think this lawsuit is crazy but not wrong, drop a comment below. And if you're ready to see Shedeur light up the league and prove everyone wrong, subscribe, because this story is just getting started.